What's going on, Jerome's? Again, full disclaimer and full disclosure. Like, I have no compunctions about really leaning into things and just making a ton of hashtag content for clicks and stuff, as we've seen many times. But I shied away from this whole Aaron Rodgers to the Vikings controversy nonsense because, I don't know, I want to respect your time. I want to respect myself. And it's much ado about nothing. Now, I have no problem with the other outlets just really going to town and making a meal out of this, but I just don't see it. But we do chime in when there actually is like logic and tangible reporting out there. Now, just covering it, yes, I do think that JJ McCarthy is the future. If you're actually concerned about JJ, you wouldn't have let Darnold go. You wouldn't have let Daniel Jones go to the Colts for cheap. You wouldn't have let Nick Mullins out the building either, right? So I understand that most of the Rodgers to Vikings scuttlebutt has been from one media outlet, which makes things extremely suspicious. Diana Rossini leading the charge, her number one lieutenant. Mike Silver really been getting in there as well, as plus Chase Daniel, who's... It seems like he's never liked JJ McCarthy. Like Chase Daniel was all in on Sam Darnold's ass as well, and now he's all in with Rodgers. Don't know, but I still think that Rodgers ends up with the Steelers. If not there, he ends up with the Giants. If not there, he ends up retiring, right? And long story longer, so Schefter and Cameron Heyward, which is a dynamic duo I did not see coming, definitely dropped some truth and some logic and some reasoning on the situation. So first off, Schefter did the ESPN radio car wash, which, what is unsportsmanlike? I know people always give Mike and Mike a lot of poop, but I think that was the height of morning sports talk radio, because I think that it was the most approachable for the widest audience. Like for hardcore sports fans, like maybe it wasn't your thing, but my wife liked Mike and Mike way back in the day, and she doesn't even like sports. She doesn't even like me. But she liked Mike and Mike. Anyways, Schefter talked about this on Unsportsmanlike. Quote, my read on this is Aaron Rodgers is interested in Minnesota. Minnesota's not as interested in Aaron Rodgers. We've all had relationships like that. I'm in one. Just kidding. But it's not out of the question entirely in Minnesota that he could wind up there. It's just not something that they're actively thinking about or pursuing right now. And everybody's kind of waiting on that. And now... I know that people are just trying to read the tea leaves like, well, why the Vikings have a chunk of cap space in 2025? How come the Vikings haven't signed a backup quarterback? Well, Kwesi loves flexibility and options, which I don't know, I think most of us do in our dating life. But with Kwesi, there's lots of things that they could do, like we highlighted earlier. They could trade for a premium player. They could roll over that cap space. They could take care of some of their own in-house extensions. Lots of things going on there. And why they haven't signed a backup quarterback, maybe the Vikings are sort of waiting things out with the Falcons with Kirk Cousins. It's possible. They could trade for a backup quarterback, or you look at players like Joe Flacco, who is off an expiring deal. Maybe they're waiting until after the comp pick window closes to give Flacco a contract, because right now it's about $3.5 million is going to be where you're dinged or you get credit for a comp pick. So maybe the Vikings plan on signing Flacco to a 1 year, $5 million deal, but they got to wait until that comp pick window closes. So maybe there's a little wink nudge understanding with Joe Flacco as of right now. Or hell, maybe the Vikings actually believe in Brett Rippon-Ass as quarterback too. You never know. Schefter continued on the McAfee show, Will Raggett, Sports Illustrated. Schefter says Rodgers to the Vikings isn't entirely out of the question, but he doesn't view it as likely. Quote, could Minnesota come around and revisit Aaron Rodgers? Yeah, I guess that could happen. It is happening today or anytime soon. It doesn't sound that way. Now, of course, not entirely out of the question. It's not entirely out of the question that I'm going to be NBA Finals MVP for the Knicks, this season. I mean, it's not a 0% chance, but is it likely? Probably not, because the Knicks suck. Not as much as the stupid Pacers. And how does that no-name jabroni power forward just all of a sudden go off like Steph Curry? Like, how does he hit 7 3-pointers, including 2 completely just... They don't even like basketball in Indiana. Anyways, and then Cameron Heyward. So I respect the hell out of Cameron Heyward, man. So long-time defensive end for the Steelers. Like, he is a no-nonsense, team-first, dude that you do not mess with. Like son of the late great Ironhead Heyward, like Cam Heyward. Like he is the definition of a football leader. Steelers Depot. Cam Hayward calls out Aaron Rodgers, quote, "I ain't doing that darkness retreat. I don't need any of that crap. Either you want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler or you don't. That's simple. That's the pitch. If you want me to recruit, that's the recruiting pitch. Pittsburgh Steelers, if you want to be part of it, so be it. If you don't, no skin off my back." And that's absolutely right. Where it's so disrespectful that Rodgers is holding everything up, right? And the Steelers are a long tradition, well-respected organization. The Giants are also a football team. And the fact that Rodgers is just completely holding up this entire process, holding both teams and their offseason plans hostage, it's BS, right? And basically, it has been widely reported that the Giants and the Steelers have a standing offer on the table for Rodgers. And the fact that he's just dragging this out just to see maybe the Vikings will change their minds. Like, oh yeah, hey, that 22-year-old quarterback that you drafted and that you basically crafted your entire offseason plans around and who's 100% healthy and will be able to participate in the offseason program, yeah, throw that all aside for me, 41-year-old me, who hasn't been good since 2021, but ignore all that, right? It's just, it's ridiculous. It's disrespectful to the Steelers. I don't get it. So Cam Hayward is 100% right. Like either you're in or you're out, or we're going to roll Mason Rudolph and then probably take for Arch Manning. All right, so here is the general summation of things. Rodgers wants to be with the Vikings. The Vikings are whatever about Rodgers. And I do think that the Athletic massively overblown interest. I mean, Mike Silver's saying it's 50-50. Ain't 50-50. Maybe it's 50-50 on a 5% chance, sure. But I don't know. Like it feels like it's something that either the Rodgers agent and his company calling in some chits and some favors, or the Athletic is just really trying to get ahead of this thing and just really go all in. And you've seen some of the reporting from Pelissero and Rap Sheet, like they're now considering this as a possibility because mainly they just don't want to get skunked. Like if the miracle running one outers does come out. I mean, they don't want to be like, yeah, not going to happen. All right. And also, I do think it's a spot where, I mean, the Vikings are considering all options because, again, Kwesi loves flexibility and options, and they could consider him later in the offseason because McCarthy, I think his future is going to be bright. But what if there's a, knocking on, although hopefully not, what if he's not up to snuff? What if the knee, there's some concern during the offseason program, OTAs, training camp? Or not training camp, OTA's mandatory minicamp, then could they reconsider it? Sure. But Rodgers should be long gone off the market because is Rodgers really going to stretch this out through April after the draft into May, into OTAs, into mandatory minicamp in June, just to see it maybe the Vikings could have some interest? Again, completely disrespectful to the Steelers, completely disrespectful to the Giants. If this is the course you want to go down, tell them thank you for the offers, but I'm going to wait and weigh my options. You guys go on ahead. It's just ridiculous, right? Because they'll wait for him, but they're not going to wait forever. But also, I feel like Rodgers is kind of stretching this out because he loves the attention. Like he's the lead story on ESPN, NFL Network, and all this ridiculous stuff. And if he signed with Pittsburgh and the Giants, he would be quarterback one. I don't think that's guaranteed here in Minnesota. It should not be, and logically says that it's not because. Do you know how many murders the Steelers and the Giants would commit to have JJ McCarthy right now? I know that the Giants are potentially within striking distance of Shedeur Sanders and Pittsburgh maybe take Jackson Dart, but again, JJ McCarthy would be the number one overall pick in this draft and would not be close. Like respect to Cam Ward, respect to Travis Hunter and Abdul Qadir and Shedeur, but JJ McCarthy would be 1-1 and it would not be close. And Tennessee would have an erection that would not go away after 4 hours, and they'd have to call the doctor. That's what it is. But basically, this is what happens. Now, I have a bit of conspiracy theory. Shocker. Maybe it's a spot where Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings, maybe they're just letting us hang out there. Now, our initial conspiracy theory was this is all fictitious, or the interest is being massively overblown because Rodgers' agent is trying to leverage the Giants or the Steelers into more guaranteed money, more years, etc. And maybe the Vikings are just doing this as a favor to the agency, which certainly could be possible. Like, we'll be your stalking horse. Just go from there. But maybe Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah realize that JJ McCarthy is a very motivated, prideful, and man who definitely takes things personally. And they're just letting this Rodgers stuff float out there. And then they see him at the facility in the gym every single day working his ass off. And they're like, oh, hey, maybe Rodgers, maybe today. I don't know. If you lay off for 1 second, we're calling in Bird Bones Boniva, Rodgers' old ass who hasn't been good since 2021, and we're replacing your ass. That's what we're doing, man. And JJ McCarthy would definitely take that personally and put that massive chip on his shoulder, goes out and wins a dozen Super Bowls and a dozen Super Bowl MVPs in the next 10 years. That's exactly it. Yeah, maybe Kevin O'Connell's playing 5D underwater chess, and the rest of us are just sniffing glue. I don't know, man. I don't know. But your thoughts are thoughts. Schefter and Cameron Heyward. Again, odd duo. Speak truth to power about the situation, non-situation of Aaron Rodgers and the Vikings. I still think he signs with the Steelers, but we'll see. Anyways, your thoughts are thoughts. Comment section. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skol production value.